me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
I'd say the number one skill that I had to evolve and continue and probably always will is having those uncomfortable conversations and being in that uncomfortable space to tell someone no. I'm a CTRS, I'm a bleeding heart. I don't want to tell people no. I want to give people everything they want. I want to invest everything I have into my staff. But part of that is saying, hey, here's where you can develop more. Hey, here's where you're not doing as much as you should be doing. So having those uncomfortable conversations and being in those uncomfortable spaces.
Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Rec Show from the 2025 GRPA Conference. In this episode, we're joined by Crystal Dawson, Assistant City Manager and Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Doraville, Georgia. Crystal shares her unique journey into parks and recreation, why community-driven master planning matters, and how parks and rec professionals are shaping cities far beyond playgrounds and programs. From leadership lessons to building stronger communities, this episode is packed with insight you don't want to miss. Let's dive in.
All right, this is Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, live from the GRPA Annual Convention 2025 in Jekyll Island. And I have with me Crystal. How does your convention go so far?
It's been great so far. Can't complain. Definitely a nice turnout. Can't complain about the weather, seeing the ocean, when you wake up in the morning. Like,
no. It's gorgeous, huh? Did you see the deers? Were they running around in front of your place?
No, saw them a little bit last night, but that's
As we woke up to a beautiful sunrise, and they had like 6 or 7 deers just running around. It's a gorgeous place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What more can you ask for?
Right. Any takeaways from the convention so far?
Well, I'm just really excited about the Carl Vincent classes that have started. I was on the steering committee that helped kind of get them going. So it's really a fulfilling thing to see them.
What is that? I've never heard of that.
The Carl Vincent classes that are happening are the GRPP, Georgia Recreation and Parks Professional. It's a new certification program that's being offered through GRPA that kind of allows for people who maybe don't otherwise have a background or have certification to get one through GRPA.
Okay. And so that's just, what is that certification for? How does it help people?
It's similar to getting something like a CPRP or a CPM, and it's with someone as accredited and respected as Carl Vincent. So it's a good sell for employers.
Fantastic. Okay, so tell us how you got into Parks and Rec. Maybe even go all the way back to your high school and college days. Who were you as a young child growing up, and what was your early exposure to Parks and Rec?
Sure. I don't think I have the most typical story. I did not grow up in Parks and Recreation. I'm from Wisconsin originally, and played a lot in school sports, not so much in college. I actually started in college at the University of Wisconsin lacrosse pre-med, and as it turns out, I'm horrible at chemistry. So that did not last. And I had a kind of a moment of, okay, well, what do I do now? And I had a discussion with one of the professors there, Dr. Nancy Navarre, and she did the program for recreational therapy. And she kind of told me a little bit about what it was. And that kind of speaks to my heart to rec therapy does. So I pursued rec therapy, got my degree. I have my CTRS. It's something I will always continue to have. And did my internship in Georgia, and I've stayed in Georgia since. I originally was working in child and youth adolescent psychiatric hospitals, some pretty high level, very sick kids. I did that for like 7-8 years, I think. Had some pretty massive burnout, saw a lot of recidivism in the hospitals with these kids. And as I was looking internally as to why am I having burnout, kind of couldn't help but look externally and say, hey, something's not being met in the community that is making them come back. And so I made a pivot to public, and I haven't gone back since.
Now, how did you discover Parks and Rec, at least from that point? Did someone recommend it to you, or did you have some exposure to it?
Straight up Google.
No way.
I mean, like Indeed, looking up parks or looking up like recreation jobs. And I started in the city of Tucker, which it worked kind of kismety, if that's a word. But it's like kind of kismet that at the time, City of Tucker was a brand new city. So it was a brand new city, and I was a brand new public employee. So yeah, I kind of got to grow with the city and see what that looked like. Immediately got to go through master plans and got to go through comprehensive plans. So I got to see the hang of it and everything I had missed kind of growing up and learning what a Parks and Rec system does. I got to learn it in the moment.
Fantastic. And so what were your first few years like in Parks and Rec?
Pedal to the metal. Is that I was starting off with master plans and comp plans, and we had the city had inherited stuff from the county, and so it was trying to figure out what do we keep, what needs to be updated, taking inventory, and then really talking to this new city that had said, hey, we want to be our own city, and finding out what do you want, and then really making that come to fruition.
Yeah. And so what is it like building that? So man, that's a great place to start, is with a master plan. If you start with the end in mind, start with a plan, that was kind of your first exposure to it. So are you still involved in master planning?
Yeah. So actually in my current role, I'm the assistant city manager in the City of Doraville. So I get to help see, city comprehensive plans and get to really stay rooted in not forgetting what community looks like and not forgetting how valuable community input is, and making sure that that plays major roles in all of these master plans and comp plans that I get to be a part of.
All right. So for those not familiar with master planning, what is some like 101 advice you would give to somebody that's starting on their first master plan?
Listen to your residents, listen to the contractors that you've hired to do it, because there's a ton of steps and there's a lot of ways to get lost and get bogged down into some of the details that you just don't need to, that they'll do that for you. So, rely on those who know what they're doing, and listen to your residents in your community, because they're going to tell you what they want.
Yeah. And what's the best way to get involved? Because I know a lot of times it's hard to get involvement from the community. Do y'all have any tricks to make sure they get their input, or how do you get them involved in the master planning process?
That's a good question. And it's a fairly constant struggle, because I think everyone would tell you that there's always a few loud voices, right? In every community, there's loud voices, and there's people who speak up and think that they're speaking for an entire community, and they're not. So engaging the people you see who come to your open gyms, that you see them bringing their kids through your programs that you got, like, obviously they have a vested interest in what's going on. And even if they're not standing up, raising their hand saying, hey, here's my idea, asking them and saying, hey, I see you're really involved. I know that you obviously care about what we do and how we do it. How do you feel about being a part of the process that says what we're doing and how we're going to do it? So just paying attention.
Yeah. And now, how do you get those quiet voices? I know that's, I've actually heard one guy, he said that he would actually go to the parks while they're being used without any badges on and just try to talk to the people. Are there any other secrets like that where you get those kind of quiet voices that are using the facilities but would never speak up?
I mean, yeah, just that, going out and finding them, seeing and observing the ones who are there using it, who are going to care about what you do with it in the future, and just saying up front and being really, we use the word transparency in government a lot, being really transparent and saying, hey, we are reworking and where we put this playground and where we're going to put a pool. We would love if you came and spoke to these people about it, and letting them know that what they have to say and what they think has value, and has the potential to have change.
Yeah. Now, a lot of Parks and Rec professionals, especially directors, get kind of recruited to that city manager role, which is kind of, you said you're the assistant city manager?
Yes.
And so how do y'all work with Parks and Rec departments? Because you're still somewhat separated from them, but you still work with them as far as delivering the services. Yeah.
So I'm pretty lucky, and I am technically the director as well of Recreation and Parks.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I am.
You get to talk to yourself about Parks and Rec.
Yeah. So I get to continue. I focus mostly on the capital projects, capital planning for the department. But I cannot do that without knowing what's going on day to day. And I cannot do that without interacting and asking my staff, who are boots on the ground, and making sure that we are pulling in the right people to the steering committees. And, we are budgeting for the things that they say, hey, we need this or we don't need that. So just being very conscious and being very intentional that I remember at my core, my heartstrings are parks, and recreation specifically. So just not forgetting that, and being intentional with that.
Yeah. Now, what are some of the differences between city management and Parks and Rec? It's great to ask you, because you actually have both hats on at the same time. How do you kind of switch back and forth between those hats?
No, I don't do it very well, probably. I probably live a little bit too much in the Parks and Rec world.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just use it. It's Parks and Rec professionals have superpowers. And so I just use those superpowers in different capacities and so much transferable skill. So I don't really have to change hats, I guess. I get to wear my leadership hat that was shaped by Parks and Rec.
Nice, nice. Okay, so I have a little video that we made for Parks and Recreation. We gave this kind of as a gift to the community, so anybody can use it if they see it on YouTube. We don't copyright it, but we'd love for this to be played in front of young professionals, college kids, part-time workers, and then maybe give you a testimony as to why people should consider Parks and Rec. And I love that you didn't have a background in it, and you started out in pre-med, and you're like, okay, now what do I do? Which is so often where we find ourselves when we're in college. So I'll play this real quick, and I'd love to get your testimony as to why people should consider Parks and Rec as a career path.
Every career is a choice, but few careers let you touch lives. Not once in a while, but every single day. Step into a park on a Saturday morning. You'll hear children laughing on the soccer field, families gathering for a picnic, seniors walking the trails, finding health and friendship. And behind every smile, every memory, is a Parks and Rec professional. We don't just mow fields, we grow confidence in young athletes. We don't just build playgrounds, we create safe spaces where childhood thrives. We don't just plan events, we design moments that anchor generations. Think of the coach who teaches patience, the director who champions equity, the staff member who sees potential in a child no one else believed in. Every day, Parks and Rec professionals shape character, preserve beauty, and strengthen community. And the path isn't easy. Budgets are tight, resources stretched thin, but the reward, unmatched. Because what you give comes back in legacy, in healthier communities, in lives forever changed. So why dedicate your life to Parks and Recreation? Because here, your work never ends. It lives on, in laughter echoing across playgrounds, in green spaces preserved for the next century, in the young professionals rising to lead tomorrow. This is not just a career, it's a calling, it's a legacy, it's Parks and Recreation. A message from the Parks and Rec community.
All right, so imagine you're standing in front of a group of college kids that have just switched majors or they don't know what they're doing. What's your kind of testimony for the industry to those students?
Well, first off, that video should be played for them because that kind of hits the nail on the head, right? Like it's not about cutting grass. It's about creating moments. It's about investing in people. It's about weaving the fabric of a community. No other department in a city can say that. The one thing that I would add to the video, and while I agree it is a calling, it is also a career. I've taken my skills and I've continued to develop them and change them into something just slightly different. So it doesn't ever limit you. It's a limitless career where, because of the span of what we do, what we can do with those skills is, like I said, limitless. So It is a calling 100%. You can't expect someone to show up and work a 14-hour event that took 4 weeks to plan for, that doesn't have that in their heart. So truly a calling, but also a career. You know, if it's, hey, I know I want to step into something else later, think about all the skills that go into being a parks professional. Chances are it's going to also set you up for something different if you want.
Right. And so, not that any Parks and Rec professional started with every skill they would ever need for Parks and Rec. So maybe talk about the skills and leadership skills you had to kind of evolve or add to your tool chest over the years.
I'd say the number one skill that I had to evolve and continue and probably always will is having those uncomfortable conversations and being in that uncomfortable space to tell someone no. I'm a CTRS. I'm a bleeding heart. You know, like I don't want to tell people no. I want to give people everything they want. I want to invest everything I have into my staff. But part of that is saying, hey, here's where you can develop more. Hey, here's where you're not doing as much as you should be doing. So having those uncomfortable conversations and being in those uncomfortable spaces.
Yeah. Any tricks to kind of, when you're in a uncomfortable situation, how do you kind of stay present in that moment or not kind of be overwhelmed with the no or the rejection that you'll be facing there?
I think for me, the biggest thing that I have to do is I have to make sure that I'm grounded in facts and examples. People don't want to hear, hey, you're doing a bad job. And I can't really tell you what it is. It's just something, they want to hear you arrive late, or, people had these complaints specifically. So making sure you have the data that is needed to help them learn.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, and then also any testimonies why people should come to GRPA if they haven't been to a state conference or even NRPA, an annual conference? What can they get out of coming to an event like this?
Networking is the number one thing, I think, for me personally. You get to meet other people who are in the exact same spaces that you are, in the same kind of communities that you are, in the same sizes with maybe some similar populations, having the same struggles. You can't find that anywhere else, anywhere else. And to have those conversations face to face and to start building a relationship and building a rapport. I could say, yeah, call Craig and he'll answer the phone and you'll probably you do it professionally, but someone would give great advice, but to have a face and to have a shared moment together makes it that much easier to feel comfortable to reach out and say, hey, I have this problem. You probably think it's stupid, but hey, we had this moment where, we were out on the beach together. It just makes it easier to do. So networking, I think, and having those shared moments, which is what we create for our community. So we should probably be practicing that. I think that's it. And then there's always some wonderful education sessions to just take something away, bring it back to your community, and just make you a better professional.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for all that wisdom you shared with us. And I appreciate all the work that you do in your Parks and Rec department. And thank you for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.